This episode of Nuff Said is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com. He dwells in eternal night, but the blackness is filled with sounds and sights other men cannot perceive. Though attorney Matt Murdock is blind, his other senses function with superhuman sharpness, just like Charlie Esser. His radar sense guides him over every obstacle. He stalks the streets by night, a red garb foe of evil. That's right. Tapes of Lunatics 155, all about Daredevil, the man without fear. We're going to take you on a deep dive journey into the darkness. Hello, I am Phil. Joining me for this in-depth look at Daredevil is the fancy man with the mustache in New Jersey,
Charlie the Professor Esser.
Ooh, and she who's always dwelling in darkness, at least on camera, in Florida.
Hey y'all, it's a little Hellfire.
Queen of the Armadillos.
Hi.
All right,
Yes.
so, yes, we're
Can
going
I just say that I'm like worried, and you guys can give me your opinion on this. I'm worried that one side is kind of like, is more Nigel Thornberry than Raleigh Fingers. So I think I think the mustache is a little uneven. I don't know.
I'm not a fancy man.
Yeah, well, it's like one's a bit bushier, I think. And I think it's also just my face is a bit asymmetrical, so.
Okay, let's actually do the podcast that we get paid nothing for.
I'm just saying, people who come to us on YouTube and click that like button and ring that bell, they need that video content to be, be worth it. So to have people now when they're listening, oh, what is he talking about? I gotta see what the Nigel Thornberry looks like and see if I can give my opinion. Now they'll go to YouTube and they'll make a note of it.
Ooh, make a note of
There
it.
you go. See, it didn't take a lot out of the podcast, just to give a little extra content for our viewers.
Anyway, yes.
Your Mazman door.
Nice. Anyway, so tonight we're going to be covering, well, if you don't know anything about Daredevil, you will know about Daredevil once we're done. We're covering comics, movies, I'm sure covering the Netflix TV show, the 3 seasons. So I figured we'd each take turns bringing stuff up, so perhaps I'll start, but I'll cheat here. I'll do 2 things, but wanted to start with 1, Daredevil, the Man Without Fear, by Frank Miller and John Romita Jr., and Daredevil Yellow by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale.
Yes. Oh, no, you just picked up Spider-Man Blue. You had already had the yellow.
Yes, I had yellow, yes. But it's very similar, of course, yeah, because it's the same team. This one, it kind of retells those first couple issues of Daredevil, with the Owl, the Purple Man. It starts with, him chasing down the Fixer and stuff. But it's very similar to Spider-Man Blue because instead of, Peter Parker, tape recording a message to Gwen Stacy she's never going to hear, Matt Murdock is writing a letter to Karen Page after she dies. Thank you, Kevin Smith.
Oh, Karen Page. Yeah. Well, to be fair, she was gone. And, he brought her, him bringing her back is just sort of, to me, I actually think that's kind of, sort of like when you find out that, Captain America totally forgot about D-Man. And it is just that reality that, oh yeah, all these people that used to mean the world to you, your whole superheroism, narcissistic trip that you're on, yeah, all those people you cared about, you've completely forgotten about, and they've all gone off the rails. Way to be a hero, Daredevil.
Everyone has their patterns. Daredevil's got a bunch of dead girlfriends on his tab. Captain America has partners that that disappear in exploding plane explosions. Come on.
Yeah. I'm just saying, these guys, they say they're heroes, but what about those who are closest to them?
Nailed it.
Well, they're vigilantes, to be fair.
Well, no, I say they say they're heroes.
Well,
yes, they're vigilantes.
Daredevil's a vigilante. Spider-Man's a vigilante. Isn't Captain America endorsed by the U.S. government?
He's America's vigilante.
That's just being
That's America's vigilante.
Yes.
I got that reference.
Well, you know, what I will say is, you know, I think, Matt Murdock has a lot of dead girlfriends. You know, Peter Parker, not so much.
Hero. Come on.
Well,
Daredevil kind of has a little more
I'm trying
than
to think
usual.
does Pete have more than one dead girlfriend?
No, he just.
Yeah, we all know of one.
No, Gwen Stacy. He just drove Deb Whitman insane.
Yeah.
Who's the old James Gordon from Gotham, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, don't even ask about poor Kanye Ferrari from Cap's dance card.
But I just mean Matt Murdock. I mean Heather Glenn, Gloriana Breen, Karen Page. He did have a wife, Mila Donovan, but Mr. Fear drove.
Wait. Daredevil got married at some point?
Yes. And I'll give you
for how many issues? 2? 3?
No. It was more issues than that because guess who did it?
Bendis.
But then during the, I think it was.
That's why you don't
wasn't available at the time.
That's why you don't. But yeah, but then during the Brubaker run, she got Mr. Fear hit her with the fear gas, which there was no cure from. So now she's been like she's been in an asylum.
She's Laura Freeze, basically.
She's been in an asylum since.
To be honest.
Okay, well then he's still technically married to her, man. Matt's Catholic.
Well, no. The parents.
No. That's sickness and in health.
Divorce papers were signed. Her parents came to him and like, sign these papers. You destroyed our daughter's mind. She's never going to get out of this institution. Least you could do is sign.
There's no divorce in the Catholic Church. Matt Murdock recognizes his marriage to her. Every time he has sex with some other woman, it is adultery, and he should go to confession for that. I'm just saying that no, you can't just do the I'm this sad little Catholic boy and then go that's that I'm not married to her no more.
Isn't that the definition of most quote unquote practicing Catholics? I'm just saying.
That's at Little Hellfire on Twitter, my friends. At Little Hellfire. At Little Hellfire.
Well, no. Yeah,
I don't care. Fight me, nerds.
Fight me, Catholicism nerds.
No. What I'm just saying. Here's the thing. That really bugs me. The idea that they would leave that as a thread and then not, especially because they do emphasize Matt's Catholicism so much. You're gonna tell me he has a wife somewhere, and that's not constantly on his mind. This should be like
he gets amnesia a lot. To be fair.
Yeah, well, you get hit in the head a lot, you know. That's why they call it bamnesia. You get hit in the head and you get bamnesia.
I mean, that's been several mental breakdowns ago too, because you know how many mental breakdowns this the guy had.
Yeah, and did Franklin even put that storyline back together?
Oh,
again?
He probably didn't.
That was pre that last Secret Wars. So yeah, who knows?
Who knows? But still, no. But no, it is a thing because, of course, I think one thing we can say about Daredevil is apparently he's very Catholic, at least since Miller's run.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Miller really. Was he the guy who did Nightcrawler too? Is that a Miller thing, or who made Nightcrawler very Catholic?
That was Claremont, wasn't it?
That was Claremont. Yeah. You know.
No,
comic book writers love that. Love that really hardcore Catholicism.
Well, I mean, Matt Murdock's had issues with the Catholic Church too, since you know his mother.
Everybody has issues.
Well,
with
since his mother ran off when he was really young and became a nun.
Was that Miller too, or was that Bendis?
No, that was Miller because he discovered that during Born Again, yeah, which was on my list.
Get it, Born Again.
Get it.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. I was waiting on my drop.
More than one
my own
meaning.
drops around here now.
That's a writer, people.
Anyway, but but this is news to me that Matt Murdock had a wife. So
see, Charlie Esser learned something tonight.
And first off, fear gas. There's no cure for it. What?
It was like a new version.
Convenient plot point is convenient.
It was a new version.
Wait. Who was the person with the fear gas?
Mr. Fear. Get it?
Mr. Fear. No, it wasn't a Scarecrow. And Marvel's Scarecrow doesn't have fear powers except when he does.
Well, no, Marvel was a Scarecrow too, Lilith, but he doesn't use gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, now he does have fear powers. That was actually, if you recall, in the Captain America Bucky one that was the first villain they fought, and they actually did like a bunch of fourth wall break stuff with that. Actually, it turns out he does have fear powers.
Is it fear gas?
Yeah, no, it's like a pheromone. Which is
poison ivy. I love poison ivy.
Yeah, it's poison ivy, but with fear instead of
Yeah, but people aren't thinking twice about having Scarecrow kiss him.
Well,
you don't know. Don't judge people's fetishes.
That's good. Yeah.
I was just about to go there, Lilith. But yeah, I'm just saying, if Matt has were they not married in the church? Was that it? Was it like a city hall wedding?
I'm trying to remember. I think they might have not been in church because it was the whole thing after Bendis outed him too. So they might have had like a secret wedding somewhere. So I'm trying to remember.
Well, you can do a Catholic wedding in secret, but but here's what I'll say is that the Catholic Church, you get a city hall wedding, Catholic Church will usually still say that's a legal wedding, dude. That's still a wedding. Yeah. You may not have had the sacrament, but we're not going to give you a divorce for it either, Because the Catholic Church, they're sticklers about that. That's the entire reason there's an Anglican church is because of this issue.
Well, see, here's the thing. Even at first he didn't want to sign the divorce papers, and I think Foggy and his friends talked him into it. So basically, he might have signed legally. He might be divorced, to put the parents at ease. But maybe in his heart, maybe he's still married. I don't know.
Okay, but then I want to see him, visiting her. I want that to be a storyline where that should be his Martha Wayne.
But to be fair, it was Bendis. Bendis likes to do these grand things and then sweep them on under the rug to the next thing. That's his thing.
Well, Bendis married them, and then I think who was after him? Brew Baker, I think, was the one who drove her insane. So it's like
you got to clean it up. You got to clean up the Bendis mess.
But I mean, that was still at least 10 years ago.
Like I said, that's the problem. Is that here's what I'm going to say,
and you get how many creative teams since then too. So people forget stuff.
Yeah. I mean, as an example. Bruce doesn't worry about Betty. I mean, they're married and he loves her, all that stuff, sure. But, the minute it's not cool between them, Bruce doesn't wait. And it's fine because that's his character. Matt Murdock's defining himself by his spirituality, by his existence. I think that becomes a real big issue, that he had a wife that's still alive. Someone should at least be kind enough to kill his wife so that he can say, yes, unfortunately, she has passed away, and now I can truly morally grieve for her.
And do you want to hear the twist Bendis put on this wife he created for her?
What?
She was a blind woman.
Ironic. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Now, could she do radar stuff too? Because blind people can actually learn to do that.
No,
there's a very famous guy who has actually been trying to encourage people that you can use echolocation to organize yourself within spatial understanding. Mm-hmm. He was on That's Incredible a lot. He's a blind guy, rides a bicycle, shoots basketball hoops, but he didn't want to. People like that story because it's cool. But he actually wanted people to understand that there's this technique to it that people can learn. But it helps if you learn it when you're very young. So.
But
that wouldn't make Matt special. So
true. All right, but
true that.
But yeah, in the
it's got to be the snowflake.
But in the Daredevil Man Without Fear miniseries, Miller did, what was this, 93 with It's the early years too, but it kind of starts before the accident, but then you get everything. They show why he becomes a lawyer because his father keeps telling him, don't be like me. You're going to study and become
respectable.
Yeah. Well, and then he comes home one day and says, "Dad, guess what? I beat up some kid," and his dad smacks him, and he's like, "Wait a minute." He's like, "If Dad can break the rules," he's like, "anyone can break the rules. I must become a lawyer."
Really? That's how they work that?
Well, that's how Frank Miller.
That's like a cheaty thing. You know what I mean?
I know the whole. I mean, I'm not quite sure who introduced it because
that's the first time I remember Miller in '93. So.
Well, yeah, and for what it's worth, I got most of my Daredevil lore in the late '80s.
Yeah.
When I was reading Marvel. When I was reading Marvel Age.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that, his dad was always like, you don't fight people, you don't do this, you be a lawyer, because you're not gonna be a Murdock getting punched in the face a lot.
Little did he know.
Yeah. But one thing I think that was one of the things that Miller did retcon is he made Matt a lot younger when when his dad dies.
Yeah. Because it's like the Daredevil Yellow, which follows the comics more closely. I think his dad was still alive when Matt and Foggy were in college. But here, this is in the Frank Miller miniseries. Yeah, he dies before Matt gets to college. So.
Yeah. Which I always thought was an interesting thing, because that is sort of our modern interpretation of it. Mm-hmm. In fact, suggesting that Matt's father died shortly after him getting his powers. That suggests that he took a good amount of money from taking those dives and invested it wisely. Mm-hmm. Which really makes you wonder why he didn't just take a dive one more time. I mean, really. You've taken dives so many times. Why is now the time? Oh, I'm going to stand up to the Kingpin.
Because, I think Matt was already blind, but he's like, I don't want to take a dive in front of my son. So I don't know if every other match Matt hadn't been there, but I know at that time Matt was sitting there and he's like, I don't want to take a dive in front of my son.
Yeah, I think battling Jack Murdock got too many hits to the head.
True.
Yeah, it's like, take a dive. What the heck? You do it all the time.
Too many concussions, maybe?
For what it's worth, it's literally your job. Literally, you're getting paid very well to be the tomato can. We let you win a few so that you look good, and then every time you get your shot at somebody who's about to get the title,
your bell rung.
You go down because you're not supposed to be a contender. You're supposed to be a tomato can. I'm just saying, that's. The business is built on a very orchestrated system.
Yes. Oh, and then they show where he meets Elektra in college. Does Elektra count as a dead girlfriend? Because she came back. So does that count as on his death tab?
Well, she counts like three.
Resurrections don't
She's got 4 punches on the card, I think.
But Bullseye killed Elektra and Karen Page. So Bullseye is responsible.
But to be fair, Karen Page was the original Karen. I would like to speak to your manager. She is literally the template, so I get it.
Yes. Well, what's interesting about, because of course what my item was.
Should we get the Charlie Essers first?
Well, I figure we can jump back and forth. Yeah. I don't think it should be just one person. This isn't 8th grade. We don't just do a report. We have a free-flowing group of ideas here, Philip.
I thought it was 8th grade.
Oh, it was 8th grade. You have your report. You have your notes. You're laminated. Did you laminate them, Phil?
My new cards. No, go ahead.
No. That was one of the things I was going to say. It's one of the most interesting things about Trial of the Incredible Hulk, which was my Daredevil piece, Daredevil's first live-action appearance, is that they introduce in there both a Foggy Nelson character and a Karen Page character, but neither are who they are.
Oh, that's right.
They're actually, Krista Klein is clearly the Karen Page character because Matt kisses her at the start of it. Then there is a lovable other guy who's also named Klein, which we're assuming that Matt's not. We're assuming that's brother and sister. So it's the Kleins and Murdock, and it's Klein and Murdock, attorneys at law. Pettyworth is their legal aid, who was a former Marine sergeant or Army sergeant, and now he's office, and he's very uptight, and that's his gag for comedy relief.
Were they ever planning in the spin-off Daredevil into a series? Because I kind of
yeah. It was very much going to be a series. That was the idea, and and it's really sad because there is so much in there that is kind of almost they really built it out to be a series. They built out all these characters, and it does mirror the previous Kung Fu Cop story that they did in the 70s of The Apprentice, where it was going to be, this cop who learns kung fu and then fights bad guys. And so they integrate the Hulk into the storyline very nicely.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's nice in this one because they could have do this whole thing about Matt seeing this green blur coming towards this bright green light was the last thing he saw.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, Matt says, oh, you doctors think you understand radiation. And Banner's like, yeah, trust me, I know a bit about radiation. So,
and,
yes.
And like we were saying offline, the first live action appearance, the first cameo by Stan Lee, live action.
Yes, the first Stan Lee cameo. He's in the jury box, and they actually show him like several times because this is the first time, and people didn't know what Stan Lee looked like, obviously. So they ran it like 4 or 5. So there's like 4 scenes where you see him. He's the foreman of the jury, who finds the Hulk guilty in a dream sequence. Spoilers. And and that was Stan Lee's very first cameo. And yes, and once he got that acting bug, he just wasn't going to let it go. Got bit by the acting bug.
Well, that was his
Which was always his dream to be Errol Flynn.
Well, that was his first live action. I know he always did the voice at the beginning of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, didn't he? It was Amazing Friends.
Yeah, but that was more reading off the script.
Yeah, true.
This is his first time emoting.
You have a line?
Yeah, Stan Lee has shown up in the comics many times. Stan Lee actually has his first cameo, and I think the first Fantastic Four annual, The Wedding of Reed and Sue.
Oh, wasn't there like a scene before that in an issue of Fantastic Four? Was it like him and Jack were like arguing in the office or something? I thought there was an issue like that. The life of me, I can't remember.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I thought the first time was him and Jack not being able to get into the wedding.
Oh,
which is why they duplicate that in the
movie,
second Fantastic Four, where he's like Stan Lee, which is the other time Stan Lee plays himself in a movie.
Oh, Mallrats, he played himself.
Oh, well, I mean in a Marvel movie.
Oh.
But yes, Mallrats, he plays him, and then arguably he plays himself in Captain Marvel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because he was reading the Mallrats script, yeah.
He's reading the Mallrats script.
Well, I was going to say, you could say maybe Iron Man 1. You could say Tony Stark mistook him for someone else.
No, he was being Hefner.
Okay.
Yeah, trust me, Stan Lee doesn't usually have three beautiful blondes hanging off of him, He's not George Burns. He was very happily married for many years.
Yes, I knew it. Here we go. Fantastic Four number 10.
Oh, okay.
Lee and Jack Kirby appears themselves in the Fantastic Four number 10, January 1963, the first of several appearances within the fictional Marvel Universe. The two are depicted as similar to their real-world counterparts, creating comic books based on the real adventures of the Fantastic Four.
I stand corrected.
You Stan Lee corrected.
I Stan Lee corrected, yes. So that's interesting. Also, what I thought is what is to me the most interesting thing about it is that it is also the first live action. Not only is it the first live action Daredevil, not only is it the first live action Kingpin, it is also the first live action Turk.
Oh, yeah.
Which blew my mind when I saw it because I did not realize Turk was so central to Daredevil mythos that someone said, "Okay, look, we can skip a lot of this. We don't need a Bullseye, don't need a Karen Page, Foggy Nelson. Who's he? We need a Turk. We can't have, even though this role could be literally played by any random thug. We need a guy whose name is the Turk to be interrogated by Daredevil to give him information. It's important." Which is why I think they actually really thought this was going to be something to grow on. Because I think there was this feeling that, maybe if you made these more like the comic books, people would like them a bit more.
Yeah.
Just going out on a limb like that.
But that's what I understand. Yeah, if you, like you said, if they can do Kingpin and Turk, why couldn't they do Foggy and Karen? Would it be something with the rights, or would you have to pay Marvel's extra or something? Or why wouldn't they do that?
There's always that theoretical possibility, but usually, as I always understood it, maybe it's one of these things where they never really got all the rights at the start. Mm-hmm. So, yes, technically, every Marvel character you use, you have to pay for. Mm-hmm. But then again, that's sort of why the Turk kind of strikes me as weird, because it is, to me, it's a weird character.
Maybe you had to pay for Foggy and Karen, but Turk they threw in for free.
Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, maybe they're like, okay, look, we give you the hero, their main villain, and one henchman. And like maybe that was Marvel's standard deal at the time. You get a hero, a villain, and a henchman. Choose wisely. But that's sad because that means you don't get a sidekick, or maybe you can either pick a sidekick or a henchman. And maybe they just felt, you know what, Foggy and Karen just weren't that important story-wise.
They were non-essential.
They were non-essential. I think now we can say we disagree, but again, much like having a Turk, really, if it's a different lawyer and a different character. So, for example, if we are going to look at Christy Klein as the Foggy Nelson pastiche, so we're going to do a gender swap on Foggy, call her Krista Klein, and that's who Matt went to law school with and became best friends with, and now it's sort of this, will they, won't they? I mean, trust me, I'm sure there's a lot of Matt Murdock, Foggy Nelson stories out there.
Half of them were probably on Lilith's hard drive.
Yes,
No, that is actually one ship I am not interested in.
Wow. I don't know if Lilith is into bears. And Foggy's not even really a bear. He's a polar bear, which, he's a bear without fur, which isn't really a polar bear, but, they're reaching with these things.
Tell Rob. Yes.
Oh, but
I only know that because I'm a fan of Broken Lizard. But anyway,
but no. Speaking of Trial of the Incredible Hulk, Hulk showed up in Daredevil 163, and did much differently. Daredevil's hospitalized by the end of the issue. Let's just say that. Because the Hulk...
is he fighting the Hulk?
Well, the Hulk's like rampaging through New York. Well, first he shows up and Matt Murdock is able to talk him down. He changes back in the Banner. He spends the night at Matt's place, and then the next morning he's like, I gotta get out of New York. So the dummy takes the subway. What's gonna trigger the change being on the New York subway, please?
Yeah, they even reference that in the movies.
Exactly. So then Daredevil wants to stop a rampaging Hulk again. He doesn't realize it's his friend Matt Murdock, and he smacks him into a couple buildings, and but once he realizes, the Hulk's gets all sad and leaps away.
I'm not sure. I don't know. The Hulk and Matt Murdock never fight in this.
No,
it's not like Thor when you have the original Return of the Incredible Hulk and he fights Thor, which is a great film as well.
The Hulk really doesn't even make an appearance at the end of that movie.
Which one?
The Trial of the Incredible Hulk.
No, he's there. He's...
No, Banner's there at the end of the movie, not the Hulk.
Well, Banner's always there at the end of the show because that's where he goes home.
Yeah, no, but he helps.
But no, the Hulk,
like the final showdown with the Kingpin, he doesn't change.
Yes, he does. Doesn't he?
No. Remember the last time he changes is.
Oh, that's right, because Edgar actually chooses to do good.
The last time he actually changes is that scene before you doctors don't know much about radiation. I think it was before. Yeah.
But Edgar, I thought, was a very interesting character because he, in many ways, is our proto-Wesley.
Yes.
Especially as he says, I'm going to let her go, but don't worry, he'll forgive me. I'm the only one that the Kingpin never forgives. Start your /fiction now, kids.
Talk about
John Rhys Davies and Edgar.
I was going to say, talk about your bears.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, Lilith, did you want to throw anything out? Anything you read? Anything
No. I think I want to talk about Noir. I think it's my favorite art. And also the concept, because Daredevil is like the most Noir character Marvel has outside of, the actual Noir character.
Yeah.
So, I enjoyed that run for Daredevil and X-Men. Everything else was trash in the Noir run, but
Spider-Man?
Yeah, I like the artwork. I like the... Did I stutter? Everything was trash except for X-Men and Daredevil.
I don't know if I've actually ever read Daredevil Noir. I might have to go read that when we're done tonight.
Oh, I love, it's very, I like old school Batman where it's very pulpy and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just so,
Yeah, I would think if one character would work in the noir, it'd be Daredevil, yeah.
Because he's already noir / gothic kind of sometimes, and so they just really played it up, and it's just kind of hilarious. It's like, how can we do this more? And they just like keep one-upping it, and it's 4 issues of just really great fun. Although the romance angle, a lot of people like complain about, but if you've never like been in the pulp, then you don't get it. It's like, yeah, that one meeting, the guy has got boobs on the brain, So that's just the thing in pulp.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I love the artwork. I love the shading and the contrast and lots of like subdued red. It wasn't like super bright. Like I think it's some of my favorite art. I think it gets overlooked a lot, so I thought I'd mention it.
Nice. Like I said, I'm going to check that out. I don't think I've read that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was a Daredevil noir.
Well, I think
not a lot of people do. That's why I brought it up.
I was going to say, I don't think that the only noir I think that really gets attention is the Spider-Man, because I think he's been in video games. He was into the Spider-Verse.
No, a lot of people say Iron Man noir. That was garbage, complete garbage. I don't know why they even bothered, but that's like one of the big ones. That was one of the best-selling ones, actually. Like,
really?
Top 5.
Well, you know what's funny? Did they do a Captain America noir? Because that's like the one character who actually is from the Pulp Fiction era. So he's like the one guy that actually like fits in it really nicely.
I don't remember hearing about a Captain America noir.
Someone should do that, man. Captain America noir.
All right, I have 2 recommendations for Charlie Esser personally.
Oh, okay, great.
First, Daredevil 165 during Frank Miller's first run, featuring Daredevil verse a superior foe, if you will.
Oh, yes. Clearly he will not, he will be easily defeated.
Because Ock's trying to hijack his shipment of adamantium to build a set of unbreakable arms.
Well, good for him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the big one I want to recommend to Charlie Esser, Daredevil 223. Not only is it the Secret Wars 2 tie-in,
ooh.
Not only does the Beyonder show up and wants to hire Foggy and Matt to, because he already took over the world, just using his powers. He found that boring, so now he wants to legally take over the world. So he comes to Matt and Foggy. Yes, so Matt doesn't want to do it, but he says, "Hey, Foggy, here's $1 million," and Foggy's like, "Oh, I'm in," but he's like, Matt Murdock has this huge sense of justice. So what payment does he give him? Gives him his sight back.
Gives him his sight back, yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
And not only that, Charlie Esser, but this issue was written by Denny O'Neil and Jim Shooter.
Okay, well, what issue was that?
223.
I'm going to have to look that up. I'm going to have to find that.
It's the Secret Wars 2. Yes.
I will.
I
will let my comic book guy know I'm looking for Daredevil 223.
I have a controversial opinion about Frank Miller. I don't think. Okay. I think his best one was in Love and War. I think that was his best work. Call me crazy.
I think
Daredevil.
I think his best period was like the 80s, like the 80s and stuff. I mean, like I thought Born Again was pretty good, and like Dark Knight Returns, but all those Dark Knight Returns sequels are just
ruined it. I know.
And All-Star Batman and Robin.
Yeah, well, Frank Miller has his style.
I know. But yeah, I had to recommend 223 because I was like, Charlie Esser's gonna like this. Secret Wars 2, The Beyonder.
Absolutely sounds like exactly
Jim Shooter. I'm like, oh,
that sounds. Lilith, what does that sound like?
What?
What does that sound like?
Do I have to hit the button because she's not getting it?
Well, Philip has to look for the button. Okay. It sounds like something Charlie Esser would like. No, it's okay. What do you sound like?
Sorry.
She's drunk. Leave her alone.
Whoosh. Oh, whoosh.
So am I. I thought of it. So.
Like I said today, you got to call out your own drops. Philip's off his game today. It's those rose-colored glasses. Put it that way.
The blind leading the blind.
He's just mad because I didn't let him break out his, diorama. The diorama, he's got his laminated note cards.
Don't make me smack
Webster's
you in the face
Dictionary
with my
defines a daredevil as one who dares.
Have you ever...
A man without fear.
Have you guys ever read the Father arc?
Yes. Yes.
I thought that was beautiful too. I like how they capture that father and son relationship.
Yes. That's Quesada art, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was very I think I liked it because it was very Jeff Loeb, the long Halloween kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Very much in that kind of style.
Heck yeah. Yeah. Yep.
But I'm just going to go on a limb and say, outside of Bullseye, I absolutely love the movie. I thought Ben Affleck did a good job. Fight me. I don't care.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of problems with that movie, but yeah, that Bullseye was Colin Farrell's Bullseye was the most horrible thing about that movie. I mean, Michael Clarke Duncan was a great Kingpin.
Oh, Michael Clarke Duncan was amazing.
Rest his soul.
Yes.
Rest his soul, yeah, Him
and
John Henry before him.
Him and D'Onofrio were like the best Kingpins.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really hard character, not only because you have to have that intimidating physical presence, but you also have to have nuance and, other things.
I will say this.
But it's mostly the physical presence.
For John Rhys Davies as the Kingpin, he has such a weird 80s vibe to him.
Like a Miami Vice villain, yeah.
Yeah, well, he's very obsessed with lenses and theatrics. And it's really kind of interesting in the way, because it's not a Kingpin that we normally see. But he's very much
twirling?
He's almost like the Slug.
He's very mustache. Well, he does have a mustache.
I'm
so
trying
that
to remember.
Helps,
does he even get out of his chair?
He never gets out of his chair.
He's like the Slug almost.
He is very well. He's very much a Moriarty character.
Yes,
and I know that's how they sold John Rhys Davies on it. He's kind of like Daredevil's Moriarty. It's like, oh, Moriarty, I'd love to play Moriarty. It's like, sure, why not? Although it is, again, whenever you watch any kind of old thing and you realize, oh wow, yeah, security cameras weren't everywhere back in the 80s, so that's not that weird. Of course, it is weird that Banner's cellmate tries to kill him in one scene and then doesn't try to kill him again, and then literally watches Banner turn into the Incredible Hulk and it never gets mentioned again. So,
would you mention it? He's gonna come back and smash you to bits.
To be fair, that's sort of what I think. Is I think that watching Banner transform into the Hulk is probably so disturbing that you get a bit of PTSD about it, and you sort of mentally block it.
Or he just thought it was a hell of a good toilet wine vintage.
Yeah,
Well, and two, I'm sure the guy doesn't know Banner doesn't have
good mushrooms going in at that time.
The guy probably doesn't know that Banner doesn't have control of the Hulk. For all he knows, Banner's in full control of the Hulk and can come back and smash him.
Yeah. I mean, it is entirely possible. And this also was the first time we don't have a Jack McGee in it.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
He wasn't in those last two movies. That's what I was like.
No. Well, I think he died by the third one.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, did he die?
Yeah. But, Jack McGee. He's a great character.
Yeah, and not to get too far off point, but I thought, weren't they talking about doing something after the death of the Incredible Hulk, but then Bill Bixby got sick and passed away?
Yeah, then Bill Bixby died, yeah. Well, they were discussing doing a Spider-Man Hulk crossover with
yes, I did hear that. Nicholas Hammond,
yeah, Hammond. They're going to have Hammond in there and and actually build out that early Marvel television universe back many years ago. But then again, that was also just, I think, the actors talking to each other and no real producers got involved. So it's unfortunate, but it is the world we live in.
All right, I want to call out another
Okay, what? I have another controversial opinion.
Uh-oh.
You might hate me for it. I actually hate Punisher versus Daredevil. I hate it. I think it's stupid and a waste of time.
Which one?
Yeah, which one?
We've done that a couple times. Oh, the miniseries?
The answer is all of them. Yeah.
Well, Punisher's a kind of a weak character to start with. There's, I think that's always the problem with the Punisher. The Punisher is kind of, I'm trying to think of another character that is like that, where he looks cool, but he doesn't have much of a story to him. Yes,
I originally used to love Punisher because of the video game. That's what I realized. I love it because of the video game. I don't really like any of his stories.
Because there's not much to it. Because as I've always said, he's really bad at his job.
And again, I mean, you got the whole, he's lawless, takes law in his own hands. You could say the same about Daredevil, but I guess they kind of, in those stories, make him seem like the more law and order type. But
Daredevil has that whole judge, jury, and executioner complex going on. So,
But
literally.
Well, no.
But
Daredevil has judge, jury, and imprisoner.
Imprisonment.
Yes, he imprisoned you in your own body because now you're paralyzed because he threw you off a building, but he didn't kill you. You'd be, as Sinestro says, you'd be surprised what you can live through.
But again,
do you want
to? And like everyone was saying, the way the Punisher is, I guess it's easier to throw the Punisher against, like, say, a Daredevil because his only powers are the senses.
Yeah, it just feels lazy, though. Everybody loves it, but I think it's lazy.
Yeah, but again, except for his senses, he's a normal guy. It's easier to throw Punisher at a Daredevil than, say, a Spider-Man or someone who has super strength.
Yeah. I hate it. I actually love when Punisher shows up in Spider-Man just because it's like him and Kraven. I live for it because it's hilarious.
Oh, I know.
It's just that situation that's just super hilarious. Really, bro?
Daredevil's always, totally down on the Punisher, but Spider-Man will be like, okay, we can work together, but no killing.
Exactly. See, with Spider-Man, it's more comical. With Matt, it's just he's too straight-laced or something. It's just something about that dynamic that I don't like it. It seems too archetypal or something like that, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But no, I was going to say there was another Punisher fight because one of the runs I wanted to call out was the Nocenti run, because I did see Connor from the Last Sons of Krypton also said he liked that.
Friend of the show.
Oh, Nocenti, yes, I did interview her a few years ago. I didn't realize it was that long ago, but yes, I think it was 2016. Yeah.
Time flies.
Back in the year
2016. But yeah, I mean that was the run that she gave us. Typhoid Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Better served in Deadpool, though. I'll just say that.
Yes.
Better served in Deadpool.
And also, issue 270, the first appearance of Blackheart.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was my first issue off the stand, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Blackheart is interesting. In the sense that he's a character that you use because you couldn't get access to Mephisto.
Well, Mephisto creates him. That's why he is his father. But he's almost like I was going to say Antichrist, but.
Well, the problem with Blackheart for me is that they really never play him the same way twice.
Oh yeah, the different writers, yeah.
Because sometimes he's just his son's. Sometimes, who's Apocalypse's? Or Darkseid's kid, who's very sycophantic to him.
Orion?
No, not Orion. The other one.
Oh, Calabac?
Calabac, yeah. At least he was on the Super Friends.
Yeah,
so, my knowledge really stems mostly from the Super Friends. But yeah, and it's sometimes they have him be like, I will take my father's throne. They're like, oh, Father, thank you for not beating me too hard today. It's really, they don't play him very consistently. But then again, since I'm assuming that Blackheart isn't like Damian Hellstrom and born of some relationship.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's literally just a homunculi created by Mephisto, so he is whatever
chip off the old block, literally.
Yeah,
he's whatever Mephisto needs him to be at that moment.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, in the beginning of 270, Mephisto kind of creates him off this there's this cursed spot somewhere where he just takes all the evil that's built up in this area and just creates. But yeah, Blackheart fully formed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, I do one thing I do like about Blackheart is he is like a hedgehog.
Yes.
So I'm always waiting for him to do a little spin dash.
Sonic.
Yeah. Because I always assume that's got to be, because that is his power move, I believe, in the Capcom game. Is I think he could do a spin dash. And that may just be a total Mandela, my own mind telling me what the secret move of Blackheart was, but you could play as Blackheart, and I believe he had a spin dash move. So you guys who know the Capcom game, write in and tell me if I'm wrong.
At Charlie Esser.
At Charlie Esser. That's CHARLIE. ESSER.
For quality.
Okay. More controversy from Lilith. Big surprise.
Yeah.
Big
I love roulette. There, I said it.
Who's Roulette? I do not know this
the
character.
Story where he goes to see Bull's. Oh no, it's not a character. It's the story. It's a story where Daredevil goes to see Bullseye. He's in the hospital and he brings a gun. And he plays Russian roulette.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You said you like that or you don't like that?
I do, and a lot of people don't.
The cover with him holding the gun. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Do a lot of people not like good comic books that were written
plot twist,
well,
spoilers.
interesting.
Spoilers.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like they were just mad. Yeah, spoilers. The gun was empty.
Of course,
like his soul.
Murdock brought the gun in there. It's about him. It's about him being judge, jury, and imprisoner, not judge, jury, and executioner.
I think there was an article on what was it, CBR not too long ago where they said like that was another Frank Miller, but that cover, like I guess they were going to do a Daredevil cartoon around that time, and like there's like that cover kind of blew that deal.
Oh snap!
Really?
Yeah, I think it was on CBR. Yeah,
but I would have thought that. Well, you know, you never know with people. And
well, it was like early 80s.
Children's cartoons in the 90s were wild.
That wasn't even.
They were wild.
Well, that wasn't even 90s.
I couldn't do.
I think that cover was like.
List.
I think that cover was like early 80s, so you were kind of like in that era of like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. So.
Well, yeah, but again,
yeah, that definitely wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, just because someone's crazy in a comic book doesn't mean that they are in the cartoon. You know.
Yeah, look at Spider-Man. There's like no violence.
Well, look at Super Friends. I don't think in any Super Friend do they ever show any of the superheroes punching anyone.
Lex isn't worth it.
Well, no, but actually what it was is it's really hard to animate someone being punched. So
not right now.
it's just not something that you are likely to set up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely
really, that's the thing.
stories.
That I think is a thing that people forget about that when you talk about they never let them do this in the cartoons. It's like, well, yeah, that's because there is this moralistic argument, but also just the technology wasn't there.
Well, most of it has to do with that long list of stuff you could not do in a children's cartoon. If you do it,
to be fair, Lilith, no, because if you look at the 1960s Marvel cartoons, Captain America punched people all the time.
Yeah, but those ones they just took panels right from the comic book.
But
exactly.
Cartoons are a little bit different. Because that was a different time. It wasn't, think of the children. People were smoking cigarettes and whiskey to get better from a heart attack. You know?
Lilith, okay. Whiskey is a blood thinner, which you need after a heart attack, and the nicotine helps get your heart rate up so it doesn't stop. How is that not exactly... How is that not sound medical advice, Lilith?
Wait a minute.
How is that not sound medical advice?
Yeah, Lilith, like you've never used nicotine and
why don't you just smother it in cheese and have 5 steaks, medium rare, while you're at it, too?
But those have a completely different effect. I mean, that's
all unhealthy, Charlie. It's all unhealthy.
Like you've never used whiskey and nicotine for medicinal purposes, Lilith Hellfire.
Am I supposed to get my medicine?
Not whiskey. Vodka, tequila. Yes.
Lilith, do you smoke?
Lilith,
I used to.
I don't smoke, but that's because I'm allergic to nicotine. So.
Isn't it you either drink or you smoke? So when you're not doing one, you're doing
exactly.
The other.
Can't do both.
You know, moderation.
I'm that drinking is less harmful than smoking. That's just my own opinion.
Lungs, liver, choose your target.
Well, the liver rebuilds itself.
Yeah.
Not if you nuke Charlie Esser.
You talk somebody to give you a chunk of their liver that'll regenerate. Eyeballs and penises.
A little bit of hepatitis between friends. It ain't no big deal.
I mean, honestly, everybody has hepatitis. Or is it herpes? Yeah, everybody has herpes.
Well, yeah,
everybody has herpes.
Oh, yeah, Florida.
No, it's like 90% of the population has some form of herpes, whether it's AV or C or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
No, this was a tech conversation. Herpes simplex virus.
Oh, yeah, Ray and his herpes. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Ray, you and
Because
your
he is
herpes.
single. Because it's the chicken pox, and then
But no, that's like the most popular thing.
True,
So
Ray
it's
from
like,
Into the Night and Moon Knight
Yeah.
podcast and his herpes. Yes, that's right.
Out of the pouch.
fun fact,
No,
that
he's gonna sue us for defamation. Don't.
can
Out of the
evolve at
pouch.
any time to be one that
Boing.
gives you herpes on your
Boing,
brain and
boing.
kills you instantly. So, because if you get brain herpes, then you die.
Nailed it.
Don't get brain herpes, kids.
So yeah, don't date Karen Page. Apparently.
Oh,
Hey, she didn't even have AIDS.
Ooh.
How are you gonna do that? She had no.
No, my favorite what if though, because it's the worst. It's the worst thing she could ever do, and I feel like it's not a what if, it's a win. Her just ratting out Matt to the Kingpin for a hit of drugs.
that was Born Again. She did it. That's how the Kingpin found
Yeah,
out.
that's not a what if. That's
Well, they did a what if on it, but yeah, that was Born Again.
Yeah.
But yeah, she
Yeah,
raps.
I know. I'm just saying, it's just like
That's how the
ooh,
Kingpin
yeah.
finds out. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, she, by that point she was a porn star. She was a drug addict, and then of course, the love of a good man turned her around.
That's what I can't forgive.
But knowing that Kevin Smith Guardian Devil run, spoiler alert, Mysterio's messing with them, and that I thought that's what you're talking about.
Hey,
'Cause
look who's here!
oh, Herpes Boy himself.
You said his name too many times.
Out of the pouch. Boing.
Boing boing.
Where's your tank top, Ray?
hi, Ray.
Nailed it.
We were just talking about you and your medical condition, right?
What's his favorite Daredevil? What's your favorite Daredevil story?
Oh, he sent me feedback if you'd like to hear it.
Yes,
Oh,
because I was actually waiting
perfect
for that.
segue. He knew.
He knew.
Yes.
Look, I know. Oh, I sent feedback. Yes, I know. I have it right here. Pulling it up now. Yeah, look. Mr. Showman, he had to show up to listen to his own feedback.
That's something you would totally do. Shut up.
Who, me? I know. Oh, please. Everyone in this room would do that. Come on. Lil just wouldn't show up because he was drunk. Anyway, here we go. Daredevil feedback. Stupid iPad. There we go. Here we go. Ray from Into the Night. Herpes free now.
We'll edit this long silence out in post. Don't worry, kids.
Oh, we will?
Fix
Okay.
it in post.
Hello, this is Ray. Dropping in some thoughts for the Daredevil episode that you guys are putting on this episode. So I wanted to give you just some random thoughts because I love Daredevil. Like, he's up there, probably one of my favourites, probably if not the favourite. Kind of on par maybe with Spidey, I don't know. But I've loved Daredevil for quite a while, ever since I started collecting comics, and he's just been consistently well written in the title. I feel more so than other characters. So plenty to choose from. Apart from all the big, milestone arcs and series and such, and potentially obvious runs, I'm just going to give you some random obscure ones which kind of stuck in my memory. No surprises, a couple of them from the 90s. First off, look, not
Thanks,
totally Daredevil, but he was part of a four-part annual series arc called Lifeform,
Yes!
which I absolutely loved. It basically was a progressively
Crossed over with the Grey Hulk. Yes.
normal powered superhero up to like a really strong one, battling this kind of blob, this life form, which kind of gets out of control. And it started off in the Punisher annual. Then I think the second part was in the Daredevil annual.
Yes.
And that was awesome. I just remember that. Very well drawn. I can't remember who the artist was. Might be someone that isn't here.
I don't think it was the regular artist.
Marvel. But then went on to go with Angel Medina, I think, from The Incredible Hulk, Part 3, and finished off with Ron Lim in the Silver Surfer annual when the life form gets like city size level. So anyway, that Daredevil part, his part in it was really cool, and I just loved his coolness. The second one for me was in the 90s. I don't have the actual numbers for you. This will be a test for Phil. The encyclopedia. Thank you, Vinny. And the second memorable bit for me for Daredevil is in the 90s when the Owlsley, he became kind of like almost a cyborg, and he was quite scary actually as it. I think he got some work done to him, and I think it was Lee Weeks in that run, but he was fighting Daredevil, and there was one issue where Daredevil's he can hear like the mechanics of Owlsley, he can smell the oil, stuff like that, and he was kind of a little bit taken aback how the owl was no longer like fully human. That was a really cool issue. I enjoyed that as well. And finally, I'm not sure how many times Bullseye has done this, but in the 90s again, and again I think it was Lee Weeks, it may be D.G. Chichester. Again, Phil, you're going to have to verify for me. But when Bullseye, I think it's in the lead up to Last Rites, I'm not sure, or the lead up to Fall from Grace. It's when Bullseye took over Daredevil's costume and was parading around as Daredevil and doing some heinous things. So I remember just reading that kind of run, and that was really cool as well. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Daredevil. Just some little random ones, and yeah, I'm keen to hear what you guys have loved about him. Obviously, the movie, the TV show. I haven't seen the director's cut of the Affleck film, but I hear it's really good. Anyway, I'll get off now. So, yeah, have a good one. Boing!
No, Ray, you said heinous. I can probably tweak that a little, make it sound something else. But no, yeah.
Don't be mean, Phil.
Oh, he loves it. No, he sends me these drops per Lil Hellfire's request.
Out of the pouch. Boing.
But yeah, no, that Owl storyline was a 3-parter from Daredevil 301 through 303, and I know the Bullseye thing he's talking about. It was actually the last arc, I believe, and Nocenti did, Ray. It's after Daredevil comes back from encountering Mephisto in Hell. He kind of loses his memory starting in Daredevil 284, and then for like the next 5 issues, it goes to like 289. Murdock kind of loses his memory, and Bullseye encounters him. He's like, "You really don't remember who you are," and he kind of takes Daredevil's suit, becomes like this murderous Daredevil on the streets.
Is he murdering bad guys or good guys?
Just basically, no. Well, like,
or just anyone.
Oh yeah, like he goes in and robs a bank. He's like taking out security guards and stuff, dressed as Daredevil. Yeah.
I liked him better as Hawkeye, honestly. When it was Hawkeye in the Dark Adventures, I thought that was a great role for Bullseye, especially because he's like, he was getting paid. So,
yeah,
job's a job, He can murder aliens, sure,
It just depends.
Ray, you have to watch Daredevil movie, and then you have to watch Elektra. Like, I find it very fascinating that they were trying to build out that world with Daredevil of all characters. Like, I just find that so fascinating.
I think, okay, here's what I'll say. I felt that I don't think that Elektra's resurrection made a lot of sense in the narrative that they were telling. Because they almost...
But they wanted to have a female hero right away.
I know, but the problem was that they didn't... Like, to me, the problem with Elektra isn't that they were trying to build out a universe. That's great. My problem with Elektra is that they didn't build out the universe. That
they rushed it.
Just stuck this character in a completely different storyline.
If Elektra was, I don't know if she even should have showed up in the first movie, but if she did, they should have waited for the death until a second movie.
Yeah, definitely. They rushed it, but they knew what they wanted to do. They had an idea.
I mean, they did give you time
Welcome
to care about
Fox,
the character.
Philip. Welcome to Fox.
I know. That was my other thing.
Why don't we just have the Phoenix be in 3 movies? That's our biggest thing. We'll just do it 3 times then.
The first one or two.
And it still isn't as good as the cartoon.
The first one or two don't count. They rebooted. Remember Days of Future Past?
Lame.
But the Days of Future Past.
That's literally having your cake and eat it too, and I hated it.
None of that
That's
makes
a whole other
sense.
conversation. That's what we should discuss next week.
What,
X-Men or Phoenix?
Just the X-Men movies and what a 20 years later.
Well, that was going to be.
This is all we
Well,
have.
if we're going to talk X-Men movies, can we talk all the X-Men movies,
yes!
including the one with Matt Frewer from the 90s?
Is that Generation X?
Yeah, that was Generation X. Generation X, Mutant X. Can we throw in the Tomorrow People just to be contrary?
Which one, the original or the CW version? I can only relate to the CW
the original Nickelodeon, and then there was a reboot on Nickelodeon, and then there was the CW.
The original Tomorrow People from like the 70s.
Yeah, that was the good one.
Okay, so
that was Doctor Who meets the X-Men. It was very good.
That was going to be like one of my last things. Is I wanted to ask you guys what you want to do next. You guys want to do like all things X-Men next week then?
Movies, just the movies. Like live action X-Men.
I mean, we could do a deep dive on movies, but we can mention some comics too, can't we?
Yeah, because they're inspired, obviously, supposedly, by some of the comic book writers.
Who did it better? Most of the time, it'll probably be the comics. But yeah, let's do comics and movies.
Okay, now are we doing all mutants, or just X-Men, or just X properties? Because I'm going to track down Gen X and Matt Frewer because I love Matt Frewer.
I have no problem with that, Lil Hellfire.
I'll allow it.
So yeah, there's your homework, Ray. X-Men next week. And
he left. He's like, I'm not doing those sneaking X-Men. Lame.
I know.
Nailed it.
But yeah, no. Before we finish up, I just wanted to mention Daredevil 304 and 316. They're just like the first one, 304. It's like Matt Murdock. Well, Daredevil takes 34 hours and like just tries to like travels the city trying to save as many people as he can, and just basically making life in New York maybe a little more tolerable. Like taking out chainsaw wielding madmen in bars and.
That's a problem in New York
Jersey
City.
thing, to be fair.
Did you say it was a Jersey thing?
No, Lilith, we do not. We have a strict no
Or is that Long
chainsaw
Island?
law
My fault.
in
That's
New
Long
Jersey.
Island.
Long Island.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's now if he had a claymore, yes, but not a chainsaw, please.
Oh, you mean a bazooka like Lilith once?
The big bazooka.
No, I mean like a medieval times, claymore. Hey, this is New Jersey, home of medieval times. We're very big into medieval weaponry here.
They big units.
Wait, do you go to Renaissance fairs?
I have before.
I have, yes.
Yeah,
I've
they
gone to a
have them on
Renaissance
here
fair
sometimes.
The best thing you can do to go to a Renaissance fair is go
Star Trek
in a Star Trek uniform. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I was actually reading about just a meme online about someone saying that, their friend always comes up to them and says, listen, do you have any idea how much you're violating the Prime Directive right now? Look, I have been studying this culture for 10 years and you're blowing it all to heck because you had to show up in your freaking uniform. What the heck, man? I'm going to report you to Central Command on this because
honestly,
in massive violation.
It's Kirk trying to get down.
Do you know how many violations Captain Kirk had?
I was going to say,
like a big, 6-inch binder.
It's all
okay.
Kirk
You
trying
know
to
what?
get down with medieval chicks. Come on.
Let me put it to you this way: that all the captains like Kirk is not an endorsement of Kirk. Trust me, if you ever saw the DS9 episode with Star Trek's version of the Time Variance Authority,
yes,
where they go, oh, Kirk, we got a file on that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Kirk is held up as the shining example of what not to do.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. What I love about that is just the idea that they're talking about the size of the file when really, it's still going to be just a flash drive, or an isolinear chip.
They're putting it out on principle, just for that example.
We have several
We've got like 8 billion teraflops on that guy. Let me tell you.
You know how many isolinear chips we have on Kirk?
Actually, it'd be terabytes, not teraflops, because flops is the processing. Bytes is the actual amount of data on the.
How dare you, Charlie?
He doesn't want to get added, so he's correcting himself. I love it.
I know.
Don't at me, nerds.
Hey, look, Ray's back, glutton for punishment. Ray, I don't know if you heard, but next week we're doing X-Men, so do your homework.
All X properties and
movie.
Other
I want to talk some comics too, so
live action, and we'll allow the Tomorrow People. We've said that that's allowed.
How dare you both? Oh, like you're not
on that note,
like you're not a nerd, Lilith.
I'm a geek, actually.
Go bite the heads off a chicken. Not a bat,
Lilith
a
is
chicken. Well, I heard I guess Lilith wants to go drink because she's like on that note.
Well, don't you guys have super connectivity?
Yes.
Yeah, we do. Eventually, you
On
know.
that note,
It's 9:19.
Yeah, I was gonna do it at 7, but then Phil got all crazy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had to feed my child and give him and bathe him, and I'm sorry if that got in the way of your drinking.
No, the problem was it didn't get in the way of my drinking. That's the problem. I'm trying to stay sober for you.
Charlie Esser was drinking. His son was doing the coke. You know.
Yeah, you know. Well.
sorry to make you listen to all this, Lilith.
All right.
Moving right along.
Yes, let's get out of here. All right, so send us your thoughts. What are your favorite Daredevil comic book moments, storylines, the live action properties? What do you think of the Netflix show? And hey, send us all your X-Men thoughts, movies and comics. Email us, capesandlunatics@gmail.com. Call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the YouTube channel, all of it, all in one convenient place. That's Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics. And remember to support the sponsors. Tweaked Audio, Charlie Esser. I heard you on Full Stream Ahead. It's Tweaked Audio. Hunt a
What did
Killer.
I call it?
I think you called it Beats.
I don't think so.
Rob would kill for that sponsorship, but no, Tweaked Audio.
We all would.
That's right. Tweaked Audio, Hunt a Killer, Pod Life the book, now in digital and paperback. And remember, when you do all of your Corona shopping on Amazon, use the Southgate Media Group link right down there in the show notes, and send some money to Rob and the company, because these, believe it or not, these do cost money to put up.
Go back and look at my
Bandwidth
history,
ain't cheap.
That's right.
and you will find out I am right so much more often than I'm wrong. I get so much right. Mark my words.
I need more drops, Rob. Lilith Hellfire.
Oh, God, if you nerds want to add me or hang out with me on social media, you can find me on Twitter at Lilith Hellfire or on Instagram at Lilith Hellfire69.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
And women, right, love?
You think darkness is your friend?
Is your ally. Get it right.
No, I prefer friend.
You think darkness is your ally?
Charlie Esser.
I just like, we are sisters, you and I. That's always my go-to quote. That's from The Last Unicorn. That's what the harpy says to the unicorn to get her to free her. And then the harpy just up and like, I'm a freaking harpy, dude.
The last you cannot watch that.
Not right now. Not without supervision.
The Last Unicorn is beauty personified.
It's too many feels. You just can't watch it. It's too many feels.
Some people like the feel. Some people who enjoy the sensation of human feelings,
Ew.
Not Lilith.
Yes. I'm not saying like, in an controlled environment where it's like, it's experiencing a human feeling because, this is what the humans feel. And
Caring
I like
for
that,
another human being that isn't myself.
No,
Gross.
Last Unicorn. It is, what's your name? Woody Allen's ex-wife or ex-girlfriend.
Mia Farrow?
Mia Farrow's best work, yeah. It's really great.
Rosemary's Baby would like to have a word with you.
No, she's much better in She's good in Rosemary's Baby. I'm not going to say she's not good in Rosemary's Baby, but she has persona in Last Unicorn.
On that note,
Just so you guys know, if you've never seen it, it is an animated musical. Just so you know, if that's not your cup of tea, just
it's
some
not
people.
really I wouldn't call it a musical. I mean, it's not like a Disney musical. It's a film with musical interludes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are musical interludes, but it's not like. Yeah, I would not call it a musical by any stretch of the imagination. There are basically montage musical scenes that you would have in any film. So yes,
on that note,
yeah. I'm just gonna say it's got great music. Don't get me wrong, it's got great music. I just would not define it as a musical. That would not be my first thought on The Last Unicorn, that it's a musical. Because yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Hey, would you like to at me? Do you think that Last Unicorn is a unicorn? a musical? Is the last
We're not getting through
Musicorn? Is it the last Musicorn? If you have seen the last Musicorn, please write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our Maz and Paz once did, back there in the 80s, when they didn't have, constant surveillance everywhere. at superconnectivityblog at gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter. It's a live tweet, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is coming back to the future, but in the past, at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEssser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz.
And as always, shout out to Ray and his from Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast, and Last Sons of Krypton, a Superman podcast. Thank you for your feedback, sir.
Yay!
Oh no, here he comes!
Here he is!
It's Ant-Man! Oh Lord, is he going to talk to us through puppets?
That is nightmare fuel, homie.
But
I don't know why you didn't join on earlier instead of having Phil look for that dang file.
But for another week, we have been your capes.
Ampersand.
Lunatics! Nailed it!
Ray, send me any kind of drop you want little mistake, because you always repeat my drops. Well, I know Ray's saying his internet was spotted. But thank you for joining us. I hope you learned something about Daredevil that you did not know tonight.
Charlie sure did.
Apparently he's married and a philanderer.
As you do.
Remember Daredevil 223, Charlie, the Secret Wars 2 time. That's right. I'm
buried in the eyes of the church, Matt. You know it, and I know it.
Can't keep that Billy Club holstered, can he?